Thank you. Today I'll be talking about what you need to consider to build a business case. Last year we talked about conversion from unstructured frame to frame. So I figured that this topic is useful for technical communicator because in time you will need to figure out how to ask for budgets or things like that and things you need to consider. So basically who I am. I have 30 plus years experience in telecommunication. I have done various different roles from software designer, hardware designer to system engineering and now in documentation. Okay. So basically my primary focus today is to how to enhance customer user experience as well as doing transformation initiatives from a digital point of view. So that's what I've been doing for the last 4 or 5 years. And a bit about Ciena. This is what I work for. Ciena is basically a networking telecommunication company. We provide the infrastructure for all the telecommunication needs. Okay, from anywhere from internet, cell, all that. That's what we do from an infrastructure point of view. Now, I'm not here to teach you how to do a business case. Right? If you want to do a business case, you just do www.google.com and you'll get this results. Okay? I'm not doing that today. What I'm doing is telling you what you need to consider when you do a business case. There's some gotchas, and these are the things that you need to do so. So basically, this is what I'm doing today. Okay? Is in a real practical world, because you could learn from a book, but there's things that you do that you will never learn from the book. And that's what I'm trying to touch on. So these are only those few points. Okay, I guess I just talk about what we're doing today is when do you need a business case? Usually a business case for evidence that is a good investment. Okay. So what I'm covering today is basically these are the points. I'm not going to read it all, but these are some of the points I'm touching, and there's more. Okay. Feel free to interrupt me as you have questions. It's better to answer on the spot than waiting to the end and come back. Okay. Since I have an hour, it should take about 30 minutes to 40 minutes, depending on your questions. Okay. To make your case properly, a business case is an integral part of planning and securing resources. So my question to you is, when does it become important for you to do so? So it is interactive. So I'm looking for those two little dashes. Any guess? Cost. That is correct. You get a prize. Compliment of Adobe. So cost is one of them. What is the second one? Complexity. That is correct. So it's cost and complexity. You, right? You. Okay. Congratulations. So basically, if the cost is become that you need to take care of costs and the complexity of your project, that's when you need to figure out, do you need a business case or not? Okay? That's one thing. Second thing is, what is the number one reason your project is DOA, mean dead on arrival, or it even gets off the ground due to? What is the reason? What do you think it is? Another prize there. Not properly justified with data. Okay, it's close. It's an inability to convince, right? If your business needs to be convincing. If your business is not convincing, even though your project is, is the right thing to do, this is what you should do, this is what you need the money for the company to do, but if you don't have a convincing business case, forget it, okay? Now, why do you need a business case? Usually you need a business case, you still need to solve a problem. And usually it's because there's something that's in your way, right? And therefore you have to deal with it. If you don't deal with it, you won't be able to go through it. Usually that's the reason. And usually you need the business case to officially launch the initiative, okay? So when should you write a business case? So another question here. When on a project to justify? Any taker? Budget. Okay, I will give a prize to a different person, right? Person will not win the same second prize. Innovation, not quite. When there's a requirement. When there's resource and expenditure that you require, spending. Anyway, I did late on the answer, but that's okay, there's more. So basically, so when you need resources mean that beyond your control, okay? If you could do it yourself or with your colleagues, you don't need a business case. You just need your manager permission. So that's not a business case, right? You need a business case is when you need resources that are outside of your control and you need money that you don't have, okay? Now, if you already have all that, you don't need a business case. You just tell your manager, I need this, and yeah, go approve, move on. Okay, you don't have to spend time creating a business case. Now, what's in the business case? It usually talks about the benefit, right? Why are you doing this? What's the benefit? It's also used to communicate, right? To put your ideas on paper and you communicate so the other people can understand why you're doing this. And most of the time in the business world, they'll talk about return on investment, or ROI stands for return on investment, and what's in it for the company, right? So in a business case, you need to somehow address that. I'll be touching those points. And obviously, it's going to be reviewed, right? Reviewed by your stakeholder. Either they accept it, reject it, or rework, or defer, okay? So those are the possible outcome of your business case that you go out. Now, before you do anything, I suggest you that take a step back and try to understand better. You know, what are you trying to achieve, and what is the approach you're going to use? What are your goals? What is your ecosystem? Do you do any data analysis in order to back your business case? And what are your dependencies? And there's more, right? So think about what apply to your organization. So therefore, you could at least answer those points when either is not, if you didn't read it in your business case, but we've been asked, you have answers, okay? Now, in the business case approach, one of the approaches is financial, okay? Financial, I think ROI, you talk about financial. So what other approach could it be besides financial? Any taker?
Process.
Who said that? Process? Can you expand on process?
You can have a business case through process costs. You reduce the cost of the process.
Okay. Process efficiency, process improvement. Yes. Compliment of Adobe.
I'm watching everybody Google business.
Any other? There's at least 2 more points. Computers, what? Company strategy, answer is yes. But you already won one, so.
Customer satisfaction.
Say it again.
Customer satisfaction. How is it going to be customers?
That I would say more like strategy, okay?
Maybe how your project is going to resolve some major issues for a company, or how is it going to improve your KPIs or
Okay, I'll give it to you. I'll stop there. Okay, I'll give it to you, no problem. So what I'm looking for is, you talk about operation, process improvement, right? It could be one reason, right? That got nothing to do with ROI specifically dollar, but it does in the long run, right? It also could be innovation. Innovation, it costs money, but you're not making a return on investment. But for example, let's say the car industry, right? They're spending money on the car to drive itself. It costs money to do that. Where is your return on investment? Zero, right? However, it will be a long term because it's a innovation. People's going to buy your car in future, right? And that way, so that's what that is, innovation. So if your business case touch financial, that's usually you get approved because you save millions, for example. Innovation, maybe, it depends. That's what your company want to do. Operation, in some process, it could be manufacturing, it could be the way you do things. That also could save money on how you do things, right? You're not making money, but you're saving money. And the last point you touch on is strategy, and usually people don't think about that, right? So my next two slides, I'm going to talk about strategic. Usually people don't think about that piece. They usually think about the first 3 points I'll just talk about, but the last piece, usually they don't do so. Now, I want to spend some time on that point because most people ignore that piece, and usually you don't. Sometimes you cannot touch the first 3 points. You don't get what you're looking for, especially in the field that we are in. Like in technical writing, do we save money? You say yes, but from an executive point of view, it's a cost, right? Are you doing innovation? Not really. You say chatbot, not really, right? So therefore, using that as a business case, chance of getting it is very low, right? So your core business, whatever you're working on, is not technical writing, right? You're writing for some product, so your core business is not technical writing. Therefore, innovation doesn't really apply, okay? Operation, are you really saving money the way you do things? Maybe. Let's say you do MS Word. Now you're buying FrameMaker, you're spending money, right? MS Word is free. So not really, but from a process point of view, you know it if you're in Frame, you know it that you're saving money because of X, Y, Z reasons, right? I'm not here to sell Frame, but if you aren't, you know why. So strategic, and then you end up with only one left, is strategic. And that's why I want to spend some time there. Make sense? Now, I guess my next question is, how many in this room, this is not for our prize though, I just want to see a survey, is that you know your corporate mission. What is your company corporate mission? How many people knows? Okay, this is about 25% to 30%, right? Yeah. How many people know your corporate goals? The difference in mission may change every 3-4 years, usually stays 10 years. Corporate goals, you have a 3-year strategic goal, then you have a 1-year goals. So my question is, how many of you know your company should have 10 to 15 goals every year? Those 10 to 15, maybe 8 always the same, but those 7 usually change. How many of you know that? So you're down to from 25% to about 10%. And the reason you should know that is it ties to your bonus, right? Right? The 15 goals there, if what you do, you don't know what the goals are, your bonus is tied to it, and you try and get a business case, right? You know what I'm getting at? What I'm getting at is, I'll get slow here. Your business case need to tie, your strategy when you're writing business case, need to tie at least one of those goals, okay? So if there's 15 goals, if you're gonna write a business case, if it does not touch one of those 15 goals, you're not gonna get approved. 99% of the time, in the industry that we're in, you're not gonna get approved, okay? So what that means is, if you're gonna need resource or spending money, expenditure, you better tie to one of those 15 goals. Now, before you're doing that, you need to understand the environment that you're in, okay? Which I call the ecosystem. The environment that you're in, not just internally, but also externally, okay? You need to understand that. And you need to understand what control do you have. Okay. What are the restrictions? What are the limitations? Is there any? I'm sure there are. So different industry, different groups have different things, right? You need to understand that. So even though your idea is so great, but if you don't understand any of these points, most what happen is there's a lot of revision on your business case. Because you go in there, they ask these questions, no answers, go back, right? Now, if they're patient, they tell you to go revise. If they're not patient, reject. If you're on your group. Now, you need to know your customers. Who are your customers, internally and externally? And who are your potential customer? Like today, you're a customer. Tomorrow, who are your customer? Maybe a customer. If you're a business case, are you going to help them win new customers or not? Right? If you say yes, they will listen to you. You say no, maybe not. Okay? What are they expecting? What your current customer expecting to you? If you're going to do with this, what your future customer may expect. So those are the questions you may need to answer when you ask for things, right? And you need to know what your current issue is. So your current platform, let's say you're in MS Words, right? What are your current platform? What are your issues? What are you not able to do? Now you're asking for business for something else. What are you solving? What are you trying to able to address? So you have to give some concrete examples that where you are today, if I'm gonna do this, then this is what I'm addressing. Those are the issues, and those issues are gonna go away. If it's gonna go away, what am I saving? I'm saving customer support money, right? That's dollars. Okay? If you could quantify that, which normally you can, talking to your support team, like how many calls they receive, of those calls, how many are related to your work that they have to search or whatever to resolve them, and I give you a percentage. The percentage give you the cost, that potential saving, if you solve because of that. Anyway, touch on that. Stakeholder. Stakeholder mean the people that are either fund you for the money, or the people that are responsible or not responsible or impacted because of what you do. It could be your design team. It could be your downstream group that uses your things. If you change, people don't like change, right? So how they're impacted it. So you make sure they understand what you're doing, agree that there's benefit to them, because at the end, when you go to a business case, one of those people could be your approver that you don't know about, right? You could be behind the scenes because you're not the one that's going to it. It could be your manager doing for it, but you're the one that wrote the business case. So you're not the one that's going to defend it. So if the people that's the committee that's approving it, and you have not touched base with them, and then have them on board, then you may not get that approval. Okay, that's what I mean by stakeholder. But the stakeholder is not just internal, it's also external. For example, your number one customer is XYZ, and they have major pull on what you do. And you're gonna change. Change, for example, you've been delivering today, I don't know, let's say just PDF. And you say, oh, I'm gonna eliminate PDF because I have this cool on product that's gonna be on product, it's gonna tell you all the information. You make sure that guy say yes, right? Maybe they buy 10% of your total company revenue. And you decide to, tomorrow, I'm not gonna give you this, I'll give you that. And you don't have their approval, even before this, right? Those are stakeholders, for example, right? Make sure you understand who they are. Now, even you have all that, still not good enough. You need to have data, right? So one other way to get data is to get feedback, right? So feedback is this means there are different ways. I'm just giving you some ways, okay? Survey is one of them. Internal, external. Interviews, you go personally interview the people. Could be external, internal. It could be during your training classes when external customers come to you, right? Take the opportunity to talk to them. And it could be either formal or informal feedback. It doesn't matter. As long as you get feedback, document it where they are, right? That's one. Now, okay, this is another prize, okay? Last prize. How are you also going to get data when you think that is important to your executive? So not just about feedback here is on customer, right? Asking a survey, which is end user. That's one. So second feedback, what do you think will be that comes out to executive all the time? Whatever you ask them for, okay? Competitor, right? They're going to ask you, what is your competition? Now, if you're doing this, what is your competition doing, right? Okay, industry trend. Competitor is the next one. Anyway, let's skip one. So industry trend. I'll go back to competitor afterward. Okay. So industry trend. So basically, that's another question they will ask. Industry trend is basically, are you doing something that is what the industry is heading to, right? Are you a trendsetter, or are you just a follower, right? Those are the questions they're gonna ask, right? So the other one was competitor, right? So the competitor is very important because no matter what you do, not just for a business case, even for your R&D development, right? When they do things, adding features, right? They're gonna ask you, what is the competitor doing? Or they're doing that or not? Or you trying to catch up to them? Or you're gonna be a trendsetter, be ahead of them, right? Those are the key reasons, right? So you need to have those data. Data mean from customer, from the industry trend, and from the competitor. Okay, competitor is not just competitor. You go one step further. We just kind of touch the industry trend. Sometimes your domain, you could be leading, but in a industry, this is something where else is doing already. You just want to be there, right? So that's where all that ties in. Now, usually people say that this is very good, but the other thing is I learn as I go. I keep adding charts because I do business case quite often. This is something that I got caught or stopped or missed probably recently 3-4 months ago, is I didn't think of certain other groups, right? I didn't ask. I assumed they were approved. When it was the ITs, the procurement team, right? Procurement team is the people that will, at the end, do the purchasing for you, right? And they don't like to be viewed as just a rubber stamp group, right? So I didn't think about that. So when I went to that, I said, okay, everybody's approved. Go to them. They kind of say, what do you mean? I haven't reviewed this, right? They want to review sort over again. So it's good to. I'm giving you an idea. Is that procurement is one of them. Legal is another one, right? IT, everybody knows. If you buy technology, that shouldn't be you shouldn't forget, right? Those usually you touch. And the other one is really important. The first one is the people that is going to use the product that you're going to do. If you don't have them behind you or agree what you do, even though you get approved of your business case, you're going forward may just fail, but they're going to resist, right? So you have to make sure that they're on board. They understand what you're doing. You have to communicate why, right? They may not be comfortable, but make sure they're part of the discussion, part of the decision, right? So that to me, that's very important. The people who are going to use it while you're doing it, even though you're doing it, you know is right. The people you involve, they know is right. But there's also a lot of people who will be using it if they not part of this analysis, or they view that they're not part of this discussion. Then when you time to go, they kind of like resist. No, I'm not going to do this. Oh, why I'm doing this? Change again, right? So to me, that's why I got to first put. That's very important. A lot of time you forget about them, right? You just implement. Okay. So, and last, this is everybody forget, right? You may have this cool idea, cool thing to go out, you're going to implement, but a lot of people is, what happens if it doesn't work? And a lot of people don't have an exit strategy. Exit strategy means easily get out of it. If you go in, you go too deep, you're tied, you're stuck, right? If you're stuck, you'd be quite painful, on it, right? So make sure before you even do a business case, you have a good, solid exit strategy. Okay. And the other thing I want to say here is that, I guess I'll jump a point there, is do you have a business case, one way doing it, which is plan A, right? Be prepared to move as you go, right? Evolve as you go. Don't just, even though you get approved, and when you start implementing, you find things you need to be able to adapt, okay? If you don't adapt, then don't be stubborn, that's what I'm getting at, right? I'm near the end here. So before pitching the business case is, what do you need to do, find out? Okay, what does that mean? Oh, if you can't afford it, right? You need to do is find out if you can't afford it, if there's money in your budget, right? If there's no money in the budget, even though this idea is cool, chance of getting it approved now is highly unlikely, right? So do that now, do that digging first, right? At least understand it. You could pitch it, say, hey, okay, I understand it, but it's coming maybe in the next review cycle, next budget cycle, please put the money in so therefore I can go, right? That's what I'm getting at there. And time, that's what I'm talking about timing. Timing is important. Different groups, different organizations, different company have different timing, right? The timing could be at the beginning, could be at the middle, or it could be at the end. Reason I'm saying at the end is they may have surplus of money of your end of cycle. Surplus of money mean they project some money at the beginning, they didn't spend it, and usually you don't spend it, you lose it. So therefore near the end, they got some, that's what I mean by surplus money. So therefore unplanned project can be approved near the end, okay? So depending on the company, right? You need to understand the situation from a timing perspective. So if you're at the beginning, because beginning is you already did the legwork the year before, you put in the budget in there already, you know there's money there, you already discussed it, now you just need to get approved from the hire to go forward. That's what I mean by the beginning. Now, unplanned budget is, you know you didn't plan it that year, but this is something you should be doing it. You already pitched the idea, you internally kind of agreed on it. Now the question is getting approval, is you see if there's unplanned money available. That's what I mean by near the end, okay? And is the money tight? So sometime maybe even though you had planned the money, even the money is in the budget, but suddenly the economy is not that great, or your customer, you lost some customer, therefore this is not the right time to go in there. They go say, well, don't you know better? You know that we're not doing well now. We're laying off X, Y, Z, and now you would ask more, right? So be sensitive. That's what I'm getting at, right? And also talk about your company struggling. That's what I mean by that, right? Now, if your company is not struggling, it's growing and having super growth, a group like they happen, if you're fortunate to work for, say, Google, then they have unlimited money, right? Almost. So therefore, if your idea is innovative, you just go and give them and just say, yeah, approve, go, right? So it depends on what company you are, right? So understand, right, what their value, what they're trying to achieve, right? So if you're a technology company like Google, then they're looking at technology, looking at innovation. So if you're a different company, like let's say airline industry, they're looking at how to reduce costs, how to improve process. So see what their DNA is, what their value is, and then you properly communicate based on what resonate what they're talking about. Right? That's what I'm trying to get at. Clear? Okay. And yeah, what can you do to help? And I think the greatest impact is collaboration. And all the project members need to be represented. So if you have 4 or 5 distinct group of projects, right? Make sure those 4 or 5 distinct group of projects has a contribution to your initiative, right? And be aware, if you need either internal, external help in order to achieve it. If it is, then seek those people or get approval to get those people involved, right? You're not alone in your own team. That's what I'm getting at. You got other functional groups that are quite good at helping. Now, to get that, you go back to the business case. You have to list, these are the group, these are the example people that will be beneficial to it. You may not get the right exact of those people, but at least you give some example that at least they understand what are you asking for, right? You're just saying that the group has multiple different type of resources that can help. They may not really understand what you're trying to say unless you give some examples. And in the end, you need a leader to run that. So that leader you can't have 5, 6 different people leading, right? You need one with many members, but one leader, right? So I guess this is a summary, right? It's basically understand what customer issue you're trying to solve by bringing this business case, right? If you're not solving a customer issues, then they're gonna ask different questions based on your DNA of your company, right? I think it's very important to me when you do a business case, you align one of those 15 goals, because those goals is what the executive resonate with, right? What is this gonna hit? If it doesn't hit any one of them, chance of getting it, it's close to 0. Make sure you got your data analysis already done. You got everything that's behind it. So therefore you can back it up when they ask those questions. I'm not saying you need to present those data. You just need to do the data analysis, have that data available. So when you get quiz, you have that answers. But different group may want that data as part of business, and you put it in. But some other group don't want that, right? Just make sure that you can answer it. How much is the cost for you to transition to it? And some people will ask also, if you happen to have ROI, they will ask that question too, right? If it's applicable. ROI means return on investment. Like how many years, let's say I want to give you, you ask for $500,000 to do this thing, for example. They're gonna ask you, okay, what are those 4 points, right? Which one am I gaining? Now, if you're talking about ROI, then when will I get my money back? You have to calculate that. Oh, you say you're more efficient. How efficient? What do you mean by more efficient? Right? You say you're going to cost you less. What is going to cost you less? So you have to have those data. If you're tackling ROI, right? If you're talking innovation, no, you don't need that data, right? If you're tackling process improvement, you may need that data too, because you're improving a process, right? For efficiencies. Now, if you're tackling strategic, you may not need that. Because strategic is be something that, no, you need to spend that because of, I want to solve this, this, and this. And this, and this is very important to this company, right? So you don't need the dollar data. Who will you need help from? I talked about that before, right? Make sure you do that. The other thing I think is very convincing, if you could provide a mock-up demo, right? Doesn't have to be perfect at the end, at least give the person an idea what you're trying to do. That really sells. Than just a white paper, right? A white paper means there's no demo, just all black and white is what it could be. But if you have a real live demo, a mock-out, and this is where we are today, but if you give me this, I need this, it's going to be like this, right? And obviously, you get stakeholder buy-in. You need that, right? You don't have that, even your own, right? It could be, you think it's your organization, you think he's to be your backer. If you didn't get his back in, you go in, he could be the one that put holes into your initiative and blow it up, right? So you may got back in from the other people that is not your direct, they're on, but you didn't get yours. He could be the one that killed it, right? So make sure you get all your stakeholders, make sure you get it by before you even go into business case. So there's a lot of legwork you need to do. So you may be the one, not the one that's doing. My whole point of this presentation is that most likely your manager is doing for you. I want you to be considered. These are the points that will help your business case to be successful, right? If you give all this information to the person who is doing it, answer all those questions, have all those data, chance of success is very high. That's all I'm getting at, right? I'm not asking you to do a business case. I'm asking you, whoever's doing it for you, know those points. Okay, this is, yeah, my last slide. It's basically to provide an effective business case, why this project is going to be undertaken, why your stakeholder should invest on this project that you're doing, and how much I'm talking about, right? Basically, those are the points. And if you have answered all those points I'm trying to give you to consider, those are the pieces that you need to put together in order to have a business case. Not just what you see in Google. Google give you what they are, but they don't tell you what you need to consider. And if you follow those points A to Z, chance of getting it or revised is higher. What I'm giving you here is hints how to reduce the rework or get a reject. So this is just a what I just said before is there's always change. Even though your business case is approved, you need to adapt, improve, and go on, right? So even though you got a one way, I'm telling you there's change. And be ready, be open to change as you go, because when you did the business case, you only know about that data, but as you implement, you get to see more. There's, oh, you're right. So as long as you're going to the right direction, as far as I'm concerned, it's good, right? Now, if you go in a totally 90-degree angle turn, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you need to understand why. You make a wrong decision. Now I have an exit strategy. I could get out, and this is why I'm getting out. I have to go this way. There's nothing wrong with that, right? If you make a wrong decision, don't continue on the wrong path. That's my message. That's all I have. Any questions? Yes.
You were saying this is basically with an end goal in mind. For example, just for
Yeah, end goal in mind.
What we're in the room for, let's say hypothetically, we're using another tool set and we want upper management to buy us the Adobe suite of tools, which are much more expensive than the tools that we currently have. You didn't mention anything about alternatives that are less desirable and showing some kind of a spectrum of this might be less expensive, but it doesn't meet our needs, so we discarded it. But still, we want to present those as less desirable alternatives. And what if they actually go, oh, well, that meets the budget for that, so let's go ahead and do this one, which is not what we want.
So that's what I mean by in plan A, plan B, plan C. So plan A is basically the one that you want to go. And this is how much it costs.
You don't want plan C, but it's there.
You don't want plan C.
Say, I've done my due diligence.
You don't want your plan C, but you have to say why. Right?
That's the only one they're going to release budget for example.
Then you say, doesn't that make sense? Then even though you approve it, it doesn't make sense to me to go on it because it's the wrong decision. Right? So you need to plan A, plan B, and plan C, I'm getting at. You need to say why it does not make sense for you to plan C, X, Y, Z. And sometimes plan B is a halfway, which could be a right decision at this time. And this is why you go. Okay. A could be a Cadillac, right? Or B could be a Cadillac. A is not a Cadillac, depending what you need.
I wrote Tesla and Honda Civic.
Okay.
Tesla and Civic.
Right. Tesla and Civic. Okay. So both of them will bring you there. Question is, what is your need? How much money you need in order to achieve it. So I hope I answered your question because.
And sometimes money on its own isn't the driver.
No.
But you know where the budget is. You could start to look at it and say, if we go across, I'm going to stand here so my things are. Sometimes the dollar value itself may not necessarily be where the end result is going to come from. It might be that's the budget that this department has at this time. But as you start to explore a solution that can cross budget across departments, you may be able to expand what it is that answers the question ultimately, because it's a shared cost.
Or it could be a cost that go in time, right? It makes sense to do it in incremental way to go for it, right? Say, okay, plan what you said, this does not make sense. You know, you have the budget for that. This one is the one we should. However, we could break it in parts of implementation from a time point of view. Therefore, the budget can be sliced on different years.
And you also have the cost of not implementing it by going on this way, what opportunities you lose.
True.
And one of the other ones that I run into on occasion is people come back and they say, well, we don't have the budget for that. Okay, so you don't have the money to do it right, but then they have to find the money to do it a second time because they screw it up the first time around. And whether it's...
Support is beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. And again, that's where those different budgets start to come into play. And that was another question. There's a question back here and up here.
Okay.
Can you repeat the question?
Question was?
When I was just commenting, I said that's like a cost avoided, when she's saying you have to do it twice. You're saying, hey, if I do this item, I avoid these other costs.
Yeah.
And just to add on to your comment, if you do bring up the other options that may be less costly, it depends who your decision maker is. If he's one of those pig-headed stuck on cost, it may not be the best strategy to take.
Yeah.
You have to know who you're.
That's what I'm getting at. You have to know your ecosystem, right? If you know your ecosystem, you know your stakeholder, then from there, then you know what approach that your business case is going to be. And that's what I mean by these points I'm telling you, you need to consider. Versus you go to how to make a business case from Google, it doesn't tell you all these points, right? So these are the things you need to cover. So you did A, B, C, D, E, submit, reject, right? What I'm telling you here is you're not writing this, how to write a business case. I'm telling you, you need to be aware of all these things I'm just showing you today, right? There's many points that I covered, so these 50 points I think today, right?
Before you talked about getting buy-in from the business stakeholders.
Yes.
Do you do that before you actually do your plan? Or like, let's say like your plan A is approved, and then you go into procurement and he says, no, I'm walking in because your vendor is not part of my proposal.
So the question is when to get the stakeholders buy-in. I think that's your question. So to me is you have to do all the other analysis first, right? You understand your competitor, you understand your end users, you understand that you get all your data, you understand you did all your research, what are the approach you're going to do, A, B, or C, right? Once you get that, then what are the pros and cons of each one of them? Then you understand which one you're going to use to believe this is how much it's going to cost. You get all that data done. Then you go to each of your stakeholders that you believe or the one that's going to have a decision on your project. Then you talk to them, hey, this is why it would be a good idea for us to do. This is why we'll be able to achieve either cost or innovation or whatever, right? And is anything wrong with that? What do you see holes in that, right? Get that dialogue going. He or she is gonna help you. How about this? How about that? Oh, good point. Then you go back at those data. Once all those is satisfied, you get this guy. Okay, he's on board. And you go each one of them, right? You make sure you touch the majority of those people, because what happened is what's happening in the background. If the person who present this business case, even though you didn't touch one or two of those stakeholders, but if you have these 3 or 4 that is on board, they're going to speak on your behalf in that discussion, right? It's not the person just presenting need to defend it. These guys is on board, he's going to speak it, right? So if you get those guys, 2 or 3 or 4 of them that understand and make sense, they're going to be there as a supporter versus questioning. If it's a question and you don't have a sound answer, go out and revise. And you get second, third time around, get out of here. You're wasting my time, right? So you make sure the first time you go in there, chance of getting approved is high. Second time, you better be. All the point they ask is there, right? So don't go in there, I'm gonna revise again. They don't want to see the same thing more than twice, right? So that's the mindset I want you guys to appreciate. Your manager, whoever is doing it for you, or yourself doing it, those are the things that you should be considerate.
Other questions?
No? Okay, thank you. So maybe I'll come back next year again for something else.